Picture this, the late 1960s, when Mercedes-Benz introduced the 280 SE 3.5, an elegant sedan that blended sophistication with the smooth power of a V8. By the 1980s, the spotlight shifted to the 500 SEC, a bold, pillarless coupe that embodied prestige and dominance on the road. And then, in the late 90s, Mercedes delivered the E55 AMG, a discreet executive sedan hiding extraordinary performance under its hood. These three legends aren't just cars. They are milestones in Mercedes-Benz history, each one proving how luxury, power, and innovation can stand the test of time. Mercedes-Benz 280 SE 3.5 W108/W109, 1968 to 1972. When people talk about timeless Mercedes-Benz sedans, one name that always stands out is the Mercedes-Benz 280 SE 3.5 from the W108/W109 series. This car wasn't just a luxury sedan. It was a perfect blend of elegance, advanced engineering, and powerful performance that helped define Mercedes during the late 1960s and early 1970s. The W108/W109 generation was first introduced in 1965 as the successor to the fin-tail Mercedes sedans of the early 60s. While the earlier cars carried large tail fins inspired by American design trends, the W108/W109 series abandoned those for a more understated, timeless, and European look. The design came from Paul Bracq, one of Mercedes' most talented designers, and it still looks classy even more than 50 years later. Straight, clean lines, a powerful stance, and just the right amount of chrome made it feel both prestigious and restrained at the same time. But in 1969, Mercedes introduced something truly special: the 280 SE 3.5. For the first time, the W108/W109 chassis received a brand new 3.5-liter V8 engine, known as the M116. This engine completely transformed the character of the car. Instead of relying on the smooth but modest inline-six engines, the V8 gave the 280 SE 3.5 a completely different personality: quiet, refined, but also capable of surprising power when needed. The engine produced around 200 horsepower and was paired with either a 4-speed automatic or a manual gearbox. For a luxury sedan of that era, this was impressive. The car could accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in around 9.5 seconds and reach a top speed of over 200 kilometers per hour, numbers that put it in sports car territory back then, but with the comfort of a limousine. This combination of power and refinement was exactly what wealthy buyers wanted, especially in markets like the United States, where Mercedes was trying to expand its presence. And speaking of the US, the 280 SE 3.5 was particularly important there. Many of these cars were exported across the Atlantic, where they quickly became a favorite among business leaders, diplomats, and even Hollywood stars. Imagine driving through Beverly Hills in the early 70s. You'd see Cadillacs, Lincolns, and right in the middle, this elegant German sedan with a subtle growl of its V8. It was status without flash, the kind of luxury that spoke softly but confidently. The interior of the 280 SE 3.5 was another masterpiece. Mercedes was known for combining durability with elegance, and this car was no exception. Inside, you'd find real wood trim, fine leather, and solid chrome details. Unlike some luxury cars of that era that sacrificed quality for style, Mercedes interiors were built to last. Even today, surviving examples often still have original dashboards and wood panels intact, a testament to the craftsmanship. But what really set the W108/W109 series apart, especially in its 3.5 V8 form, was the way it drove. The car had independent suspension, disc brakes on all four wheels, and precise steering. It wasn't just about straight-line power. It was about control, comfort, and stability. Mercedes engineers were obsessed with safety and reliability, and it shows. Driving a 280 SE 3.5 on the Autobahn at 200 kilometers per hour felt effortless, while in the city it glided smoothly over bumps and rough roads. Of course, we can't talk about the 280's E 3.5 without mentioning its siblings in the W109 lineup, like the famous 300 SEL 6.3. That car, with its monstrous V8, was the king of the Autobahn. But in many ways, the 280 SE 3.5 was the sweet spot. It offered enough power to be exciting, but without the complexity or fuel thirst of the bigger engines. It was practical luxury, the kind of car you could drive every day, yet still enjoy on long highway journeys. Another fascinating aspect of the 280 SE 3.5 is its timeless appeal. While many cars from the late 60s and 70s now look dated, the clean design of this Mercedes still feels fresh. Collectors and enthusiasts around the world appreciate it not just for its beauty, but also for its engineering honesty. This was a car built during an era when Mercedes' reputation was at its strongest. Cars designed to last for decades, built with precision and care, before cost-cutting and mass production changed the industry in later years. Today, the 280 3.5 is considered a highly desirable classic. Prices have been climbing steadily, especially for well-preserved examples with original engines and interiors. Collectors admire it as one of the last truly hand-built Mercedes sedans before the brand entered a more modern production era. And because it was made in relatively small numbers compared to standard models, it has a certain exclusivity that makes it even more attractive. Interestingly, the coupe and cabriolet versions of the 280 SE 3.5 are even more sought after. These two-door models combine the elegant Brock design with the V8 power, creating some of the most collectible Mercedes cars of all time. At auctions, a pristine 280 SE 3.5 Cabriolet can easily sell for several $100,000, sometimes even crossing the $1 million mark. That's how much people value this car's mix of style, performance, and rarity. But even the sedans, once seen as just luxury transport, are now appreciated as rolling works of art. For many enthusiasts, owning a 280 SE 3.5 is about more than just driving. It's about connecting with a golden era of Mercedes-Benz when every car was built like a piece of fine engineering, designed not just for years, but for generations. And perhaps that's the greatest legacy of the 280 SE 3.5. It was never about showing off. It was about understated excellence, about having a car that quietly did everything better than almost anything else on the road. It was fast but refined, luxurious but durable, stylish but never flashy. In many ways, it represented the very philosophy of Mercedes-Benz during its peak years, the best or nothing. Even today, more than 50 years later, when you see a 280 SE 3.5 glide past, you can instantly recognize its aura. It's not just an old car, it's a timeless statement of engineering and class. Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG W210, 1998 to 2002. When people talk about sleeper cars, those everyday-looking sedans that secretly pack supercar levels of performance, one name always stands tall: the Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG W210, 1998 to 2002. This car was the beginning of a new era for AMG. Before this, AMG had already built a reputation for turning regular Mercedes models into high-performance monsters, but the E55 AMG took things to a whole new level. It wasn't just about raw speed, it was about blending luxury, comfort, and everyday usability with jaw-dropping performance. In the late 1990s, Mercedes-Benz wanted to push deeper into the world of high-performance sedans. BMW had its legendary M5, E39, Jaguar had its performance saloons, and Audi was experimenting with the S-Series. Mercedes knew they needed a weapon to compete, and AMG was ready to deliver. The base car was the Mercedes-Benz W210 E-Class, a handsome executive sedan known for its comfort and reliability. AMG took this solid foundation and transformed it into something extraordinary. The result was the E55 AMG, which instantly became a legend in the AMG lineup. At the core of the E55 AMG was its powerhouse, the 5.4-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine, known as the M113. This wasn't just any V8, it was hand-built by AMG engineers, following the philosophy of one man, one engine. Each engine was crafted by a single technician whose signature plate was proudly displayed on top of the engine cover. The numbers were impressive for the time: 355 horsepower, 391 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 5.4 seconds, and a top speed electronically limited to 250 kilometers per hour. But what made this engine special wasn't just the numbers, it was the way it delivered power. Smooth, reliable, and thunderous in sound, the M113 V8 gave the E55 AMG its unmistakable personality. Unlike the high-revving BMW M engines, the AMG V8 delivered massive torquey low-down, giving drivers instant acceleration and effortless speed. One of the E55 AMG's biggest strengths was its design. At first glance, it looked just like a regular Mercedes E-Class: executive, understated, and elegant. But if you look closer, the AMG details began to appear. A subtle body kit, larger AMG monoblock wheels, discreet badging, and a slightly lowered stance for better handling. This wasn't a car that screamed for attention. It was the definition of a sleeper, a car that blended into traffic but could obliterate almost anything at a stoplight. Behind the wheel, the E55 AMG was a revelation. It wasn't just about straight-line speed, it handled beautifully for a car of its size. AMG upgraded the suspension with stiffer springs and shocks, giving it sharper responses in corners while still maintaining Mercedes' signature comfort. The steering was precise, the brakes were strong, and the chassis felt rock solid. But what really made the E55 AMG shine was its dual personality. In normal driving, it was smooth, quiet, and luxurious, a perfect daily driver. But with a press of the throttle, it transformed into a beast, surging forward with brutal force and a soundtrack that could make any car enthusiast's heart race. Inside, the E55 AMG reminded you that this was still a Mercedes. The cabin was filled with high-quality leather, wood trim, and advanced features for the time. Heated seats, premium audio, and cutting-edge safety systems made it as comfortable as it was fast. AMG added sporty touches like unique leather upholstery, AMG badged gauges, and a thicker steering wheel. It wasn't a stripped-down performance car. It was a luxury sedan with a wild side. Of course, the late 1990s were dominated by one of the most legendary rivalries in automotive history: the Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG versus BMW M5 E39. The M5 had slightly more power and was known for its razor-sharp handling, but the E55 AMG fought back with its torque-heavy engine, effortless speed, and superior comfort. Enthusiasts loved to debate which car was better. The truth? Both were incredible in their own ways. The M5 was the ultimate driver's car, but the E55 AMG was the ultimate all-rounder. A car that could do it all, from commuting to cross-country road trips to embarrassing sports cars at drag races. Mercedes built the E55 AMG in relatively limited numbers, making it a rare find today. Unlike modern AMGs, which are mass-produced, the W210 E55 AMG feels special because of its exclusivity and hand-built engine. Collectors and enthusiasts see it as a turning point for AMG, a car that cemented the brand's reputation and paved the way for modern AMG sedans like the E63. It was one of the first true AMG super sedans, and it showed the world that Mercedes wasn't just about luxury, it was about performance too. Interestingly, the E55 AMG has also earned a reputation for being one of the most reliable AMGs ever made. The M113 engine is known to be bulletproof, capable of handling huge amounts of mileage without major issues. Unlike some high-performance engines that are fragile, this V8 was over-engineered and built to last. Owners around the world have praised the E55 AMG for being a car they could drive daily without worrying about breakdowns, something that isn't always true for exotic performance sedans. 2 decades later, the E55 AMG remains a highly desirable car among collectors and enthusiasts. Prices vary depending on condition, but clean, low-mileage examples are appreciating quickly. People are realizing that this car represents a golden era of AMG, before turbocharging and hybrid systems, when big displacement and raw power were the formula. Driving one today still feels special. It may not be as fast as modern AMGs, but the analog feel, the naturally aspirated V8, and the understated design give it a character that modern cars often lack. It's a car that connects with the driver, reminding them of a time when performance wasn't about lap times or gadgets. It was about passion, engineering, and soul. The Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG W210, 1998 to 2002, is more than just a fast sedan. It's a milestone in AMG history, a car that combined brute force with everyday usability in a way few cars have ever matched. With its hand-built V8, subtle design, and timeless appeal, it remains one of the most respected and loved AMGs ever created. It's not just a car, it's a statement that sometimes the most dangerous predators are the ones hiding in plain sight. Mercedes-Benz 500 SEC C126 1981 to 1991. When we talk about iconic coupes of the 1980s, few cars hold the same presence and authority as the Mercedes-Benz 500 SEC from the C126 generation. Introduced in 1981 as the flagship coupe of Mercedes' S-Class lineup, the 500 SEC was more than just a luxury car. It was a rolling statement of power, wealth, and engineering brilliance. At a time when the world was shifting towards excess and bold designs, the 500 SEC perfectly embodied the spirit of the decade. The first thing that stands out about the 500 SEC is its design. Mercedes took the already impressive W126 S-Class sedan and transformed it into a two-door masterpiece. The proportions were sleek yet commanding, with a long hood, wide stance, and frameless windows that gave it a clean, pillarless look. Its smooth roofline flowed elegantly into the rear, creating a profile that was both sporty and regal. Unlike many other coupes of the time, the 500 SEC wasn't just about style. It was about presence. Park one of these cars anywhere, and it instantly commanded respect. It was the kind of car that made people stop and stare. Under the hood, the 500 SEC carried a 5.0-liter V8 engine, delivering around 231 horsepower in European spec and slightly less in US versions due to stricter emission standards. While those numbers may not sound extreme today, in the early 1980s, this was a serious amount of power for a luxury coupe. The car could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just over 7 seconds, which was impressive for its size and weight. But what really made the 500 SEC special was not raw acceleration. It was the effortless way it delivered performance. Press the throttle, and the V8 responded with smooth, linear power, propelling the big coupe forward with a sense of authority. It wasn't a sports car in the traditional sense, but it had enough muscle to remind you that it was more than just a cruiser. Of course, Mercedes didn't stop at power. The 500 SEC was packed with cutting-edge technology for its time. It came with advanced safety features, including anti-lock brakes, ABS, which were still rare in the early 80s. The car also featured an innovative seatbelt pretensioner system, further cementing Mercedes' reputation as a leader in automotive safety. The suspension was tuned to provide a perfect balance between comfort and handling. On the highway, the 500 SEC glided like a private jet, effortlessly covering long distances while keeping passengers in complete comfort. Yet when pushed through corners, it displayed surprising agility for such a large car. Step inside and you were immediately reminded why the SEC sat at the top of Mercedes' lineup. The cabin was a showcase of luxury, with high-quality leather, rich wood trim, and meticulous craftsmanship everywhere you looked. The dashboard was simple yet elegant, with large, clear gauges and logically placed controls. The seats were wide, supportive, and built for long-distance comfort. Rear passengers weren't forgotten either. The coupe design might have suggested tight quarters, but the 500 SEC offered generous space in the back, making it a true four-seater grand tourer. One of the most iconic elements of the 500 SEC was the absence of a B-pillar. When you rolled down all four windows, the car had a completely open side profile, a design touch that added to its elegance and exclusivity. It was the kind of detail that made the 500 SEC feel special every time you got behind the wheel. During its production run from 1981 to 1991, the 500 SEC became a symbol of success and power. It was the car of choice for celebrities, business executives, and world leaders. In films, it was often used to represent the wealthy elite, instantly communicating prestige to the audience. Owning a 500 SEC in the 1980s wasn't just about having a nice car. It was about making a statement that you had arrived. The 500 SEC also laid the foundation for Mercedes' high-performance coupe future. While the standard model was already powerful and luxurious, AMG, then still an independent tuner, offered even more extreme versions. Wide-body AMG 500 SECS with massive fender flares, aggressive wheels, and tuned engines became legends in their own right. Today, these AMG-modified SECs are among the most sought-after collector cars from the era, representing the ultimate expression of 80s excess. But even without AMG treatment, the standard 500 SEC remains a car that enthusiasts deeply respect. It was built during an era when Mercedes engineering was at its peak. Everything about the car, from the heavy doors that closed with a satisfying thunk to the over-engineered suspension components, reflected Mercedes' obsession with quality and durability. Many 500 SECS are still on the road today, running strong after decades of use, a testament to the car's legendary build quality. Driving a 500 SEC today is a unique experience. While modern cars may be faster or filled with more gadgets, few can match the sense of occasion that the SEC delivers. The V8 still provides smooth, commanding power, the ride is incredibly refined, and the design remains timeless. It's a car that turns heads not because it's flashy, but because it carries itself with dignity and class. For enthusiasts, owning a 500 SEC is like owning a piece of automotive history, a reminder of a time when Mercedes built cars with no compromises. Collectors have increasingly begun to recognize the importance of the 500 SEC. Prices for well-maintained examples have been climbing, especially for the later models and rare AMG versions. The car represents the pinnacle of Mercedes luxury coupes from the 1980s, and its appeal only continues to grow as enthusiasts look back fondly on the golden era of Mercedes-Benz engineering. In short, the Mercedes-Benz 500 SEC was more than just a car. It was a cultural icon. It represented success, power, and prestige in a way that few cars before or since have managed. Whether cruising down the Autobahn at high speed, gliding through the streets of Beverly Hills, or parked in front of a luxury hotel, the 500 SEC always looked right at home. It was the embodiment of 1980s confidence, built with the timeless quality that made Mercedes-Benz a household name. Even today, more than 30 years after it left production, the 500 SEC remains one of the most admired and respected coupes in automotive history.